The cabin hums with the low, constant pressure of recycled air. At Seat 2A, Dr. Ellison Ward, 49, places his silver laptop on the tray. A faint green pulse glows across the brushed metal, steady, alive. He adjusts the sensor mount, the way a surgeon might steady a heartbeat. Cabin crew, prepare for final boarding, 12 minutes to departure. The announcement echoes, clipped and neutral. But the purser's voice that follows isn't. "Sir," she says, leaning closer, her eyes flicking to the light. "What exactly is that device?" "It's a vibration response sensor," Ellison replies. Her lips tighten. "It's emitting a laser. You'll need to shut it down." "It's not a laser," he says evenly. "It's a heartbeat sensor." The words land, but disbelief hangs heavier than the air. Nearby, a passenger raises a phone. A red recording dot glints. Ellison senses it, the same way pilots feel turbulence before anyone else. He lowers his tone. "You can check my credentials." "I said turn it off." The purser's hand hovers over the intercom, authority trembling under fear. The light flickers once, then dies as he powers down. For a moment, silence claims the cabin. In that stillness, the green afterglow lingers on her uniform. A heartbeat fading beneath polite suspicion. Have you ever been judged for something you built to make the world safer? Or treated like your truth was a threat just because someone didn't understand it? Before we move on, tell me, where are you listening from tonight? Maybe you're in a quiet apartment, maybe on a late flight yourself, or somewhere far from home where injustice feels a little too familiar. If stories about courage, integrity, and redemption speak to you, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you'll never miss the next journey that starts with a moment just like this. Now, settle back. The engines are humming, the seatbelt sign just lit up, and Ellison is about to realize that even a first-class seat can feel like the wrong place to belong. The hum of the engines deepens as boarding completes. The air smells faintly of citrus and static, that pre-flight sterility that always made Ellison feel safe. Now, it just feels tight. He closes the laptop, folds the sensor mount into its carbon sheath. His hands move with habitual precision, contain the light, contain the trouble. He feels her eyes still on him, the purser, the kind of gaze that doesn't accuse out loud, but leaves no space to breathe. Across the aisle, a man in a pressed navy suit glances over, then taps his phone, whispering to someone. Some kind of gadget thing. Yeah, they stopped him. Ellison hears it. He always hears things like that, like static under the hum. He exhales, long and slow. Another flight. Another reminder that the world still checks his boarding pass twice. "Excuse me, sir," a younger flight attendant says, polite smile intact. "First-class boarding is on the left side of the terminal." Ellison looks up, confused, then gestures toward the embossed 2A above him. "I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." The attendant flushes. "Oh, I just thought—" "You thought what?" His voice isn't sharp. It's weary, measured. "That maybe I wandered in?" She retreats with an apologetic nod, but the damage lands like a quiet bruise. A passenger in 2B, a middle-aged woman, clutching a travel pillow, leans over with hesitant curiosity. "Is that some kind of lab equipment?" Ellison smiles softly. "It's a vibration response sensor for engines. Helps pilots detect microfractures before they fail." Her eyes widen. "You build that yourself?" He nods. "Built it to protect pilots, not to scare flight attendants." The line hovers between irony and exhaustion. The woman doesn't know how to respond. She offers a nervous smile, then glances at the phone in her lap, the same video feed from a few minutes ago. The red dot pulses. Recording still on. He catches his own reflection in the cabin window. The soft overhead lights, the mirrored eyes of strangers, watching, pretending not to. Outside, the tarmac glows orange under sodium floodlights. Snow drifts against the edges of the boarding ramp, fragile, temporary, like trust. 10 minutes to departure, the intercom says. Ellison presses a hand against his briefcase inside, the FAA clearance letter, embossed and official, proof, paper that was supposed to protect him. He imagines showing it. He imagines it meaning nothing. He takes a breath and looks around the cabin. The silent hierarchy of tailored suits, muted conversations, the practiced detachment of wealth in transit. Everyone here owns something that tells the world they belong. A platinum tag, a logo, a look. He owns the patent that might keep them alive. Yet, in this space of velvet and glass, belonging feels rented. The purser passes again, clipboard in hand, her voice professional, even warm, as she greets a passenger behind him. Then, to him, a glance not hostile, but still calculating. "Everything stowed properly, sir?" "Yes." Her gaze drops briefly to the closed laptop case. The ghost of that green glow still lingers in her mind and in his. He follows her retreating figure with tired eyes. He knows she's not the enemy. Not really. Fear wears many uniforms. A sudden jolt a child in row 3 kicks a tray table. The sound startles the woman in 2B. She fumbles. The phone tilts. The live stream catches Ellison's profile in perfect clarity. Caption already typed. First class drama flight, 782. He doesn't know it yet, but 12 strangers will share that video within minutes. He leans back. The seat cradles him like a verdict. He remembers his mother's voice from years ago, before his first test flight. "Some people won't see your work, baby, just your presence." The cabin lights dim for taxi. The faint hum of the engines grows, a steady reminder of why he built the device in the first place, to hear danger before it becomes disaster. Now, all he can hear is the whisper of judgment, rising like cabin pressure. Outside, the runway lights blur into streaks of green and white. Inside, he sits still, framed by reflections, a man who invented safety, trapped in the quiet violence of doubt. The seatbelt sign blinks on. The purser returns, voice calm but edges sharpened by protocol. The cabin seems to shrink around her authority, every polished surface reflecting her composure. "Sir," she begins, clipboard in hand, "I've checked with the captain. We can't allow any unregistered electronic devices operating during boarding." Ellison looks up from his seat, his voice still low. "It's powered down. You saw me do it." Her tone doesn't shift. "Then let's keep it that way." He nods once. Silence. But silence, in a confined space, is never neutral. It hums, fills, presses. The intercom cuts through. 9 minutes to departure. Ellison glances at his watch. 9 minutes, that's how long it takes for an aircraft's black box to initialize. Irony has a cruel sense of timing. A voice 2 rows back mutters, just loud enough, always some kind of drama, before takeoff. The remark lands like a spark in dry air. The purser steps closer. "Sir, I'll need you to keep your bag completely zipped. I'm logging a report just to be safe." He breathes out slowly. "You're logging me for carrying my own invention?" "Sir," she warns, "because it blinked green?" She hesitates, professionalism cracking at the edges. "I don't know what it is. I don't know you. Safety comes first." "I wrote that policy," he says quietly. "The pre-flight detection protocol. You're quoting my own words back at me." That line hangs neither accusation nor defense, just a truth no one knows how to hold. A murmur ripples across the rows. Eyes flick up from tablets, magazines, half-hidden phones. The purser stiffens. "You don't tell me how to run my cabin, mister, whatever your title is." There it is, the fracture line. Not shouted, not cruel, just the moment when fear declares itself as command. Ellison studies her, sees not malice, but panic, dressed as order. He softens his tone. "No one's questioning your authority, but the rule exists for safety, not suspicion." "Exactly," she says, seizing the word safety like a shield. "That's why I decide what's suspicious." He closes his laptop case again, even though it's already sealed. "Then I hope you'll decide fast. because this plane will leave with or without justice, but not without time. That earns a few side glances, some scoffs. A man in business class shakes his head, muttering, another self-important type. Someone else whispers, is he threatening her? He will.com. The red recording dot on a nearby phone catches the overhead light. Still filming. Ellison forces a breath. The recycled air tastes metallic. He looks at the purser again, her jaw set, clipboard trembling. For a flicker of a second, her hand hovers near the call button to the cockpit. He can almost see the argument forming behind her eyes. Protocol versus reason. He decides to speak first. Look, I can show you the certification. Not necessary, she cuts in. Captain said, we proceed by my discretion. She turns to leave, but he says softly, discretion is how truth dies in silence. That stops her mid-step. The cabin feels like a held breath. Then the child's voice from earlier breaks the tension. Mom, why is everyone mad? And the sound resets the air. The purser recovers, gives the boy's mother a forced smile, and walks back toward the galley. Ellison watches her go, then notices the faint green reflection dancing on the window residual light from the device. No longer powered, but somehow still alive in memory. He traces it with his gaze, a ghost of integrity, blinking beneath the hum of engines. The passengers return to their distractions, but the silence feels heavier now, like something waiting to be justified. Ellison leans back and closes his eyes. The faint murmur of phones, the clicking of seatbelts, the whisper of fear disguised as procedure, they all blend into one noise. Control. He understands it. He's built systems like it. But systems, he thinks, were meant to protect people, not humiliate them. He opens his eyes just as a notification pops on someone's phone a few rows up, a hashtag. Number flight 782. The video from minutes ago is already climbing into thousands of views. He exhales through his nose, not anger, just inevitability. The world, once again, is watching him not for what he's built, but for how he's treated. 9 minutes left. 9 minutes before the door seals shut. 9 minutes before silence becomes evidence. The hum of the cabin settles into uneasy quiet. Passengers pretend to read, scroll, sleep, but everyone is listening. The tension has become another passenger, silent, uninvited, sitting among them. Ellison opens the small window shade. The world outside is washed in twilight blue. He traces the reflection of his own face on the glass, half man, half shadow. The green pulse from earlier still lingers in his eyes, like after-image memory. He closes them and hears the echo of engines, the same vibration pattern he spent decades trying to predict. It always starts with a rhythm, like a heartbeat slightly out of sync. He'd built his sensor to detect that half-second dissonance before failure. He wonders now if humans have something similar, an inner alarm for prejudice. 8 minutes to departure. The intercom hums. The number lands differently this time, not as a warning, but a countdown to how long he can stay silent. The woman in 2B shifts uncomfortably beside him. She glances at her phone. The video she accidentally streamed now shows 3,200 live viewers. A small banner reads, "Is this discrimination or safety?" Comments scroll like turbulence. She turns to him, whispering, "I didn't mean for it to go viral. I thought it'd be just a clip for my sister." Ellison smiles faintly, no bitterness. That's how most disasters start. Something small, something well-meant. She bites her lip. They're saying terrible things in the chat. About you. About her. He nods. That's how fear multiplies. Quicker than data transfer. For a moment, compassion flickers in her eyes, the first real one he's seen on this flight. It steadies him more than she could guess. A young flight attendant, clearly newer, approaches hesitantly. "Dr. Ward," she says softly, "I read about your engine work. My brother's a pilot. He follows your research." Ellison's eyebrows lift. Does he now? She nods, nervous but genuine. "He said your early models saved a cargo crew over the Pacific." He laughs quietly. That was luck and late nights. Mostly luck. The purser passes behind them, pausing just long enough to notice the conversation. Her eyes narrow slightly, not out of spite, out of uncertainty. Ellison can see it. The war between pride and guilt, flickering like the green glow that once scared her. The young attendant continues, voice lowering. I just wanted to say, I'm sorry for how it started. It's just been tense lately. People assume the worst first. He gives her a nod of gratitude. You're not wrong to be cautious. Caution saves lives. Fear doesn't. She hesitates. Should I tell the purser you have FAA clearance? He shakes his head. No, let her find her own truth. Otherwise, she'll never believe it. Her eyes soften, but she says nothing. She walks back down the aisle, the light glancing off her badge, a brief reflection of green from the cabin exit sign. Ellison exhales, the kind that comes from years of controlled breathing in test flights, oxygen rationing calm. He glances at the digital clock on the bulkhead. 7:32. He calculates silently. 7 minutes left. Ping her phone again. The woman in 2B covers her mouth. Oh no. He looks over. The live stream counter jumps. 15,000 viewers. A thumbnail shows his face, mid-sentence captioned, You don't need fear to stay safe. The soundbite stripped of context now runs under hashtags. Number flight 782, number fear or fact. He leans back, presses his palm against the window. His reflection ripples. He knows this pattern too, the cascade of misunderstanding. He's seen it in every accident report. One wrong input multiplied by panic becomes catastrophe. He closes his eyes. Behind them, the hum of engines becomes the same sound as online chatter. Endless, hungry, deafening. He whispers, mostly to himself. Safety wasn't supposed to make people smaller. Outside, the sun dips below the horizon, and the last light turns the plane's fuselage into a ribbon of dull silver. Inside, screens glow pale blue, the same hue as his sensor light. Technology, truth, fear, they all share the same color temperature tonight. The purser reappears, expression stiff. Sir, the captain will be informed. Please remain seated. He nods once. No fight left in the tone, just weariness. Then, softly, he says to her back, Do you ever wonder how safety feels from the other side of the announcement? She pauses, doesn't turn, but her hand hesitates on the galley door, just for a second. Then she disappears behind it. The woman beside him whispers, That was brave. Ellison shakes his head. That was just necessary. The cabin returns to silence, but it's different now. Less fear, more awareness. The audience watching online multiplies, yet somehow, this small space feels lonelier than ever. He looks down at the closed laptop, the indicator lights still off. But in the faint reflection of the overhead LED, a green shimmer glows. Not from the device, but from the exit sign above the aisle. The light finds him anyway. The cabin lights flicker to a brighter white, too bright, like truth trying to break in. Ellison feels the temperature rise a notch. The purser returns. 2 uniformed security officers in tow. Every sound, the click of a seatbelt, the crinkle of a newspaper stops. Sir, please step out into the jet bridge, she says, tone brittle with authority. We just need to verify the equipment you were using. He looks around. The woman beside him stiffens. The younger attendant from earlier bites her lip, frozen between empathy and duty. The 2 officers hover behind the purser, half bored, half wary the way men hold a leash without knowing what's on the other end. Ellison's voice is calm. You're asking me to leave the aircraft? For your cooperation, she replies, and everyone's safety. The words sting not their meaning, but their history. He glances toward the camera phones now visible in every row. The red recording dots bloom like a field of warning lights. He stands slowly. His movements are careful, measured. He's been here before, different context, same choreography. He says, gently, Ma'am, That device is an FAA prototype. My clearance is inside this case. She cuts him off. Sir, I don't have time for explanations. Either step off or I'll have to call the captain. The cabin murmurs small, sharp sounds. He's making it worse. She's just doing her job. Always a scene, right? He exhales through his nose. The air feels too thin. I'm not refusing, but understand what this looks like. The purser hesitates. What it looks like doesn't concern me. Ellison smiles faintly, weary. That's the problem with safety, it stops seeing people. A man across the aisle chuckles under his breath. Preach somewhere else, Professor. The word hits harder than intended. Then, a voice from the back. Isn't that the engineer who saved that Albatross cargo flight? The green light guy? A hush. The purser blinks, thrown for a beat. Ellison doesn't move. He never asked for defense, but now it's here, fragile, uninvited. He looks to her. You wanted proof. You're looking at it. The younger attendant whispers to her senior, It's true. His patents are public record. The purser's jaw tightens. Pride and protocol wage their silent war. 6 minutes to departure. The intercom cuts through. Everything freezes. The officers exchange looks. They're not supposed to delay a flight. The purser presses on. Procedures don't care about fame. I'll file the report once we deplane him. He leans forward, voice quiet, but clear enough for every camera to catch. Integrity doesn't need a title. Gasps. Phones tilt for better angles. The live stream counter spikes 60,000 watching. He turns to the crowd, not defiant, just honest. You think she's wrong? She's not. She's scared. The same system that taught her to trust a checklist over a conscience built my sensor to prevent fear. Guess which one got funded faster? The line lands like turbulence, half the cabin still uncertain whether to clap or recoil. The purser's face flushes. Sir, please sit down or step out. He holds her gaze. You already made your choice. Let me make mine. Then he sits, calmly, folds his hands on his lap. The officers exchange glances. Without a clear order, they hesitate. The younger attendant whispers urgently, If we delay, the airline gets fined. The purser closes her eyes briefly, logic collapsing under clockwork. 5 minutes to departure. The announcement feels like a verdict. Ellison breathes out, almost a sigh of relief. Then maybe the system will move faster than justice for once. The cabin laughs nervously, some in sympathy, others in discomfort. The woman beside him looks down at her phone. The comment count blurs too fast to read. Someone types, This man's composure is terrifying. Another, She's hiding behind rules. Another, They're both victims. The plane hums again. Louder now, engines cycling for pushback. In the reflection of the window, Ellison catches the faint green glint from the exit sign again. The color doesn't fade. It multiplies across glass, phones, badges, the polished cabin wall. He realizes the irony. Every screen shining judgment is lit by the same frequency as his device, the one they feared. He looks up, whispers to himself. Even fear travels on light. The purser stands frozen, clipboard trembling. The officers step aside. The captain's voice bursts through the intercom. Cabin secure? We are cleared for pushback. She exhales. Cabin secure, she answers. And just like that, the humiliation ends not because it's resolved, but because the world ran out of time to witness it. The plane hasn't moved. Engines idle low, a metallic growl under everyone's pulse. Ellison can feel the hum through his shoes, the same vibration he once called the language of machines. Now it sounds like waiting for judgment. A chime. The intercom clicks. Alive. All passengers must remain seated for final safety verification. 4 minutes to departure. 4 minutes. He smiles faintly. Even time has joined the chain of command. The purser walks briskly to the front galley, her face pale. The younger attendant meets her halfway, whispering, Ma'am, maybe we should. Don't. The purser cuts her off. The system's already handling it. Ellison catches that phrase. The system. Always a comfort to those in power, a threat to those beneath it. A ping. The woman in 2B flinches. It's trending, she says softly. He doesn't look. Number flight 782. Safety now has over 100,000 views. Another ping. A second headline populates her screen. Airline under fire for possible bias incident mid-flight. He exhales. The storm is bigger than the cabin now. The overhead speaker crackles again, this time a different voice. A man, corporate calm. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the operations manager speaking. We are aware of an in-flight situation. Please understand our crew has full discretion to act under federal safety policy. Ellison closes his eyes. There it is. The official tone that sounds like justice, but bleeds indifference. Every word sterilized, every decision fortified by bureaucracy. The man continues. We ask all passengers to cooperate with crew instructions. The matter will be reviewed internally upon landing. When the announcement ends, the silence left behind feels like a confession. The woman beside him mutters, "They're already blaming you." He gives a half smile. No, they're blaming procedure. That way, no one has to apologize. A new notification blinks on her screen, the live stream, now 118K viewers. Comment threads scroll too fast to read, but phrases flash between camera pans. He's dangerous. She's racist. They both look scared. Who's recording this? He sees himself frozen in the feed, paused, mid-expression caught between calm and humiliation. Public judgment has replaced due process. A light above flickers the seatbelt sign, a nervous pulse of amber. He stares at it, hears his own words from years ago echo in his head. Safety signals should never flicker. Inconsistency kills trust. Now the irony burns. He opens his briefcase. The FAA clearance letter is still there. Official seal, holographic foil. He wonders what's heavier, the paper itself, or the weight of knowing it means nothing in this cabin. The purser returns, avoiding eye contact. We've sent the report. The airline will handle the rest once we land. Her voice is rehearsed neutrality, like she's reading a weather update. Ellison says quietly. You realize that's the same phrase they used after Flight 412 collapsed over Denver. She freezes. What? He meets her eyes. I was on the investigation board. System review upon landing. It meant 12 people never made it to the runway. She opens her mouth to reply, but nothing comes out. She walks away instead. The younger attendant lingers, whispering as she passes. I'm sorry. I really am. He nods. Don't be. Just remember what it looked like when truth wasn't welcome. Outside, snow has begun to fall, catching the floodlights in slow spirals. Inside, every reflection turns white except one, a faint green light pulsing from the ceiling camera. He notices it. Cabin cam? Active? The younger attendant hesitates. Yes, sir. It auto-records if a report is filed. He nods slowly. Then maybe Integrity's finally found an audience. She doesn't understand what he means, but he does. Another chime. The captain's voice. Ground control confirms we're holding. Cabin, please stand by. The purser stiffens at the word hold. Ellison looks up at the green recording LED, small, constant, immune to bias. It blinks the same rhythm as his old sensor. One pulse every 2 seconds. He whispers under his breath. Machines never lie. Humans do. He closes his eyes. The hum of the engines grows deeper, blending with the online buzz. The world outside this cabin is watching, waiting, dissecting every breath. But here, inside the walls of regulation and fear, silence is the loudest sound. The plane stops moving. The engines idle in low vibration, a growl muffled through layers of aluminum and shame. For the first time in 20 minutes, no one speaks. Even the children have gone quiet, sensing the gravity of adults behaving like fault lines. The captain's voice cuts through the hush. We're on a temporary hold. Cabin crew. Status report. The purser presses her intercom. Cabin, secured, issue logged, awaiting clearance. Her tone trembles, not from fear of the passenger anymore, but from the weight of her own certainty cracking. Ellison's eyes open. He's been still, head bowed, fingers clasped like a man in prayer. He looks around, faces turned, not openly hostile now, but wary, half concerned, half curiosity. Screens flicker in the dim light, showing their own reflections doubled in the glass. Every screen carries a different truth. Countdown 0, he murmurs. Now we see what's left standing. The woman in 2B whispers, "You think they'll let you explain when we land?" He smiles faintly. They'll let the footage explain. People don't believe people anymore. Only cameras. Another chime. The cabin lights dip to amber. The hum of electrical systems sinks steady, rhythmic, like a heartbeat. He glances toward the cockpit door. The faintest reflection flashes against the small viewing glass, a green flicker. Not from his device this time, from the cockpit cam indicator. His mind pieces it together, both cameras, cabin, and cockpit linked once the incident was logged. Data redundancy protocol. He helped write that too, years ago, when he still believed transparency meant protection. He exhales. "You built this, Ellison," he mutters to himself. "And now it's building your trial." The intercom beeps again. A different voice corporate, flattened by legal training. Operations to captain. Continue hold. Security protocol engaged. Awaiting HQ review. Every word feels like a wall being welded shut. He glances at the purser. She doesn't meet his eyes anymore. Her clipboard lies forgotten, on the jump seat beside her. The younger attendant fidgets near the galley, torn between obedience and conscience. A phone pings, then another. The woman beside him gasps softly. It's being mirrored live cockpit feed. Someone's streaming from inside. Ellison's heartbeat slows. No one's streaming. The system is. On her screen, 2 panels appear. One from the cabin, one from the cockpit. Side by side, time-stamped, synchronized. In the cabin feed, his calm voice saying, "You feared the light because you didn't understand it." In the cockpit feed, the green sensor data reading perfectly normal, FAA certified. The truth isn't dramatic. It's clinical, mathematical, absolute. That's what makes it undeniable. A murmur ripples through the rows. Passengers lean toward each other, phones glowing like miniature interrogations. Wait, so it was real? He wasn't lying? What the hell just happened? The purser finally looks at him, face drained of blood. How did that sink? Ellison answers softly. Integrity leaves fingerprints, even in code. The younger attendant whispers, "The live stream, look." She tilts her screen. The viewer count surges past 200,000. The dual feed circulates faster than any statement the airline could write. A laugh escapes him, not bitter, but disbelieving. Machines don't panic. They just tell the truth, over and over, until someone listens. The purser stares at the synchronized footage, replaying endlessly on passengers' phones, her face, her tone, her authority, measured against the cold objectivity of data. Her hand shakes. She whispers, "I didn't mean." He raises a hand, gentle but firm. "Don't finish that sentence. Not yet." Outside, snow slants across the floodlights, turning the tarmac into a screen of static. Inside, the cabin glows in hues of blue and green, every reflection humming like an apology. Another voice, this time the captain, again, quieter, human. "We'll remain on hold pending verification. Cabin crew, stand down." The purser sinks into her seat. The clipboard falls, clattering on the floor. No one picks it up. Ellison leans back. His eyes close briefly. The hum of the engines merges with the rhythmic blip of the recording LEDs. The synchronization complete truth now in motion, beyond anyone's control. He whispers, almost to the unseen cameras, "You can stop counting now." Integrity just found the black box. For the first time since boarding, he allows himself to breathe. Not victory, just air unmeasured by fear. The engines idle steady. The cabin waits. And somewhere above, a satellite receives a data burst, a pulse of light, the same shade of green as forgiveness. The cabin is no longer quiet. It's a courtroom without walls. Screens glow across every aisle, split between live feeds, cabin, and cockpit. The green pulse of the synced data glimmers across faces like a shared heartbeat. Some passengers look ashamed, others transfixed. The purser sits rigid, hands clasped too tight, eyes locked on the man she once ordered silent. Ellison stands slowly. No one tells him to sit this time. "You feared the light," he says softly, voice carrying the weight of exhaustion rather than anger. "Because you didn't know what it meant." He gestures to the glowing screens. "That's what this is. Truth, reflected until it can't be ignored." He takes a step forward, speaking not to her alone, but to every witness in the room. "I built that sensor to save pilots because I lost one. My best friend. Engine failure at 30,000 feet. No warning system picked it up in time. A hush. The air feels thick, electric." He continues. "So I made something that sees what humans miss. Something that listens when fear tries to speak for reason. And tonight, it worked again. It showed us fear in real time." The purser's lips tremble. I didn't mean to." He shakes his head gently. "You did what the system taught you. You called it protocol. But look around. The protocol didn't stop fear, it recorded it." Outside, the snow whirls like static against the glass. Inside, the green light pulses steadily from the cabin cam. Every reflection on the wall bears its tint. Phones, badges, eyes. The intercom crackles. A voice from ground control, filtered through static. "Cabin 782, we've reviewed footage. Confirm safety verified. Resume departure pending passenger consent." Passenger consent. The phrase hangs heavy. For the first time, the system asks permission from the witnesses. The woman in 2B stands first. "I consent," she says firmly. Then another voice. "Same here." Then more, until the cabin hums with overlapping affirmations. In the live stream feed, comments explode. "This is what accountability looks like. He turned humiliation into evidence." Ellison turns to the purser. "You can still decide how this ends." She looks down, voice cracking. "I thought I was protecting everyone." "You were," he says softly. "But not from danger, from discomfort." She covers her face, shaking. The younger attendant lays a hand on her shoulder, whispering something unheard. Ellison glances toward the cockpit glass, where the green sensor pulse syncs with the cabin light. Two identical signals, one from human hands, one from machine code. Together, they form a rhythm of absolution. "That's what integrity looks like," he says to no one and everyone. "It's not loud, it's consistent." For a beat, even the engines seem to hold their breath. Then, a ripple of applause, hesitant at first, then certain. Not victory, applause, recognition, relief. The live stream count spikes, 430,000 watching. Someone types, "He's not just proving a point, he's holding up a mirror." Ellison bows his head slightly, accepting neither triumph nor forgiveness. He knows justice doesn't erase humiliation, it only reframes it. He turns to the purser. "You were right to question me. You were wrong to stop listening. There's a difference." She nods through tears. "What happens now?" "Now." He looks toward the window, the runway lights flickering green through falling snow. Now, the world decides if it was watching a scandal or a lesson. The captain's voice fills the cabin again, steadier this time. "Flight 782, cleared for pushback. Thank you for your patience." As the plane shudders to life, Ellison takes his seat again. The purser remains standing, eyes following the green reflection on the window until it merges with the lights outside. He whispers, just loud enough for her to hear. You feared the light because it revealed what you didn't want to see. She nods, tears falling freely now. And now? He exhales. Now it shows us what we can change. The engines roar. The cabin tilts gently as the plane begins to move forward, finally. Every phone, every camera, every viewer bears witness to the same quiet miracle. Truth, moving under its own power. The flight has landed. No applause, just a slow, collective exhale. Snow falls in slow spirals beyond the terminal glass, blurring the edges of everything: time, guilt, clarity. Passengers deplane in silence, passing him like ghosts, avoiding their own reflection. Phones still record, but the frenzy has softened into shame. Ellison sits in the holding area near Gate 42, coat folded over one arm. He's not handcuffed, not detained, just waiting for the bureaucracy to catch up with truth. A security officer offers him a coffee he doesn't drink. In the reflection of the terminal window, the green runway lights flicker faintly his motif, now external, untouchable. Behind him, footsteps approach. He doesn't need to turn to know who it is. The purser stands there, still in uniform but without the authority it once carried. Her hair is undone, clipboard gone. Her voice is smaller, more human. "Dr. Ward," she says, "they told me I could leave after debrief, but I needed to say something first." He nods, not looking up. "You don't owe me words, just the truth." She sits down beside him, a cautious half-meter apart. "Truth is, I wasn't scared of you. Not really. I was scared of being the one who didn't follow the rule. That's what gets women like me fired." He turns slightly, meeting her eyes for the first time since the confrontation. Her voice trembles. "I've seen what happens when I hesitate. They tell us to act first, justify later." He studies her quietly. "You trusted the system to protect you." She nods, tears welling. "And you built the system that betrayed you." Silence. The symmetry hangs between them, like gravity. He leans back, the leather chair creaking. "My first test flight," he says softly. "We lost a co-pilot. Friend of mine. The fault was in the warning algorithm. I'd written that line of code." Her breath catches. "You blamed yourself?" "I still do. Every beep my sensors make is an apology I keep rewriting." For a long time, they sit in that fragile symmetry, two professionals, both scarred by the same machinery of accountability. Neither villain, neither saint, just human. The purser breaks the silence. "I watched the live stream after landing. You didn't get angry once. I don't understand how." He smiles faintly. "I did, but anger's loud. Truth doesn't need to shout." She wipes a tear. "They've opened an investigation. The company's in crisis mode. PR wants to call it a misunderstanding." He shakes his head. "Don't let them. Call it what it was, a mirror." Her gaze drops to his briefcase. "They said your prototype's going into full review. You might even get reinstated." "I didn't build it for reinstatement," he says quietly. "I built it so no one would ever have to choose between safety and fear again." She looks away, ashamed. "I'm sorry it took me this long to see you." He studies her face, the exhaustion, the guilt, the relief of being believed. "Then see everyone else," he says gently. "That's how this matters." A notification buzzes on his phone. He checks the screen. FAA issues halt on in-flight equipment seizures pending independent audit. He nods once. There it is. Systemic echo. She frowns. "What's that?" He smiles. "When the world starts repeating the truth, until it sticks." The overhead lights dim as the snow thickens outside. In the reflection, their faces overlap hers, pale and weary, his calm and unguarded. Between them, the green glow from the runway dances like a heartbeat. "Funny," she says, voice trembling. "That color used to scare me." He answers softly. "That's because it showed you something real." A beat of silence. Then she whispers, "Do you forgive me?" He pauses, eyes on the light. Forgiveness isn't the goal. Understanding is. They sit there, two figures framed by glass and neon, as the night deepens around them. Outside, a ground crew moves a cone from one lane to another, a small correction, but a correction nonetheless. Ellison exhales. "That's how change happens," he murmurs. She tilts her head. "What?" One cone at a time. The intercom above them hums. Final boarding call for Flight 784. She stands. He stays seated. For the first time, she salutes him, not as crew to passenger, but person to person. As she walks away, the reflection of her figure passes through the runway's green light. Two colors blending into one truth. Fear and integrity no longer enemies. Morning light filters through the terminal, glass clean, forgiving, new. The snow has stopped. The world outside hums with the slow rhythm of motion resuming. The storm, like the scandal, has passed, but its imprint remains, carved into air and conscience. Ellison stands by the observation deck, coffee untouched beside him. He watches a line of planes taxi across the runway, their beacons flashing in perfect sequence. Each pulse red, white, green syncs like breathing. A journalist's voice drones faintly from a nearby screen. In a rare move, the FAA has announced an immediate audit of airline safety protocols following last night's viral incident. The agency confirmed that Dr. Ellison Ward's patented sensor will enter expedited certification for fleet integration. He turns away before the clip shows his face. He's not interested in becoming a symbol. He wanted the system to work, not to worship him for proving it didn't. A soft chime behind him. Footsteps familiar, uncertain. The younger attendant from the flight stands there, out of uniform now, holding a small envelope. "They asked me to give you this," she says. "Official apology letter. Corporate." He smiles faintly. "They still send paper?" She shrugs. "Guess they figured you'd trust that more than an email." He doesn't open it. Instead, he nods to her phone, glowing with an article headline. "Integrity device approved for global trials." He says, "That's the only apology I need." They stand in silence for a moment, watching the runways breathe. The intercom hums. "Final boarding call for Flight 784 to Seattle." She glances at him. "You flying again?" He nods. "Always." As she walks away, he calls out, "Hey!" She turns. He holds up the device repaired, gleaming, the tiny green diode pulsing steady. "Remember this color," he says. "It means the system's listening again." She smiles, eyes bright. Then maybe it's learning too. He watches her disappear into the crowd. For a while, he just stands there. The sun breaks free from a cloud bank, flooding the glass with warmth. In the reflection, he sees not his face, but the pulse of that green light, merging with the daylight, no longer hidden, no longer feared. His phone buzzes an email notification from FAA HQ. Subject: Halt confirmed. New integrity audit policy enacted. He exhales. "Systemic echo complete," he murmurs. Then, almost instinctively, he looks down at the device in his hand. The diode flashes twice slow, deliberate. He whispers, half to himself, "That green light should always be here." The line lands with quiet finality. A cleaner passes by, humming under breath, the tune rising and falling like a lullaby. Somewhere in the distance, a plane lifts off, its shadow gliding across the terminal floor, a ripple of motion, not noise. Ellison picks up his coffee, still warm, and watches the sky reclaim its calm. No applause, no headlines, just a man, a machine, and a color that no longer needs permission to exist. The last image, the green reflection on the terminal glass, fades slowly into sunlight, becoming indistinguishable from it. So, what did you feel when the light turned green again? Did it feel like justice or simply relief? I want to hear your thoughts right now, in the comments below. If this story made you pause, made you think, or made you feel something you can't quite name, hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe for more stories like The Green Light Tales, where truth isn't loud, but it lasts. Because sometimes integrity doesn't shine, it simply stays on.